Syndicated presents What the Puck with Sean Baligian.
Glad you can join us. So happy to be doing these. We are doing this all spring, all summer, into the fall, taking you up to the 2024-2025 MHSAA hockey season, along with my partner, Mike Iavasile. My name is Sean Baligian. Shout out, as always, to the fantastic Michigan High School Coaches Hockey Coaches Association, for helping us do this. The proven path. That's what we're talking about each and every week, highlighting some of the great programs all over this great state of Michigan, and there are a ton of them, and a ton of players that have shown the proven path works as well. We are being joined by two of Livonia's finest tonight, two guys that have been able to go on and do what so many other young players want to do. Has it really been 10 years that Tyler Irvine was at Livonia Stevenson? So many memories with Dom Lutz and that whole crew. Of course, 2013 state champions. I believe a 2014 graduate of Livonia Stevenson. Tyler Irvine kindly joins us. And then, of course, a guy, boy, again, it seems like yesterday watching Jake Beaune ply his craft on the ice for the Spartans. Two guys that, boy, a lot of memories watching Stevenson hockey, and I'm so happy to say that they're two guys that have been able to continue in their hockey career as well. Let's welcome them in. Tyler, let's start with you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to repeat. Has it really been 10 years? Are you serious? You were at Stevenson 10 years ago.
I know. I can't believe it either. But first, thanks for having us on. It's so cool to see where Michigan high school hockey's come. And, I mean, it's really taken off. I mean, it was great when I was there, and watching it back now, I'm like, wow, these players are getting better and better each year. So first, thanks for having us.
No problem at all. Thank you. And Jake Beaune, again, loved watching you play. I used to say it all the time. You play the right way. It's no surprise to me that you were able to move on, and we'll talk about your path in just a moment. Thanks so much for joining us. How are things going with you, Jake?
Things are going great. Thanks again for having us, like Tyler said. But, yeah, it felt like yesterday when I was in that Spartan jersey. So it's crazy how fast time's flying, but I definitely missed those days for sure. But I'm doing great, so thank you.
Yeah, well, guys, let's get right into it. We're here talking about the proven path and the path that you guys took. We'll talk to both of you, but I'll start with Jake here. Jake, tell us where you were in your youth hockey and what made you go to Stevenson. What went into that decision?
So, yeah, obviously before high school, I played 3 years of high school, starting off sophomore year. Before then, I played for Honey Baked and Caesars, and then come U16 year, I didn't end up making the team, and that's when I started to think about high school hockey. That's when I gave Coach Mitchell a call, and I still remember to this day, we met up at Bigby at 7 o'clock at night and had a meeting with my parents and kind of settled it then and there. But yeah, it's been great. I think making the jump to high school hockey was one of the best decisions in my life. I know with AAA, you're traveling every single weekend, don't get to see friends much and stuff like that. So it was great to make that transition. And yeah, I mean, I definitely got to the spot where I am now, so it doesn't really matter if I stayed at the AAA route. But like I said, it was the best decision of my life for sure.
Did you notice when Jake mentioned meeting Mitch at Bigby, everybody giggled because I think everybody in Livonia, Northville, Novi, Canton, and Plymouth has met Mitch at Bigby at some point in time. So I think that's why we all had a little chuckle there. Tyler, for you, a similar story. You know, what's interesting is we're all guys that grew up in Livonia. You have the opportunity to play with so many guys, to come up with so many guys, and you're still going to Eddie Edgar, and I see your name on different banners with so many of your teammates. What led you to Stevenson? What kept you at Stevenson?
Yeah, so growing up, I played Livonia Knights, just a travel AA team. Basically played there all the way up. And sophomore year, all my buddies are starting to make Stevenson High School. And I'm like, man, I really want to play there. Went to tryouts, and I was a little undersized. And I ended up not making the team. And, I was disappointed. But went back, not AAA, never played AAA. I was too small, always got cut. So, and it was so expensive. So I did AA, went back sophomore year of high school, played AA with the Farmington Fire. And then junior year, finally, Mitchell, he wasn't the coach sophomore year. He didn't cut me, but junior year, he took me on. I think it was the right move. I got to play with Dom Lutz, Devin Kelly, just some great players. Ended up winning the state title. So I was like, wow, that was a great junior year. Let's see what happens senior year. Went back senior year, such a great year. And I think we could have won states that year too. We had the team, but fell short. And I never looked. I mean, I did try out for USHL teams after junior year, but to go back for that senior year, I don't know why you wouldn't. To play in front of your fans, you never get these experiences again. And it's so much fun representing your high school. Then every day you drive by that high school. Like, I live in Boston now. I go home to Livonia. I drive by Stevenson. I'm like, man, when we won that in 2013, I mean, that's just some memories you can never get back. It's just great. It's looking back at it. So forever grateful.
It's great. And Sean, this is the first time we've had multiple guys, and I believe you guys both played in the MDHL. So I'm going to hop back over to Jake, and let's talk about the MDHL. And how did it help with your development, and how did it help you get ready for those seasons coming with Stevenson?
Yeah, it was awesome. Obviously, that time is during the off season, so getting together with guys from different teams, connecting with them, seeing how they play. Just playing with different guys during the off season is really fun, and having a little league to play and not just sitting around. We're staying busy, getting in shape. So I think it's a great league to continue for the future. And I met a lot of friends out of it too, from different schools and stuff like that. So it was great to connect with some guys around different schools. So it was great.
Great. That's a hotbed for scouts. That's a hotbed for scouts. I mean, so many scouts go there to watch, and
yeah,
at least all my connections. I don't want to jump ahead here, but Coach Mitchell helped me with so many connections. I would not have made it outside of Stevenson without him calling all these NA teams, making all these connections for me. But what were you gonna say? Sorry, I jumped in there. I was like, MDHL.
No, that was exactly what it is. Is what did the MDHL do for you and your development and what you're doing? And that's a lot of what we see. I've been at the MDHL play for about 3 years now, and that's what I see. I see the scouts. We see Coach Mitchell in there. But what did it do for you?
Yeah, same thing. I mean, during the summer, so you're putting all the best players together on certain teams, and you get to play against the best in the state, Michigan's best, and you're sharpening your skills. You're training off season, but like you said, with the scouts there, it just gives everyone that next step to get to that next level. Play junior hockey, get that D1 commitment. So it really jumpstarts a lot of players.
Tyler Irvine, Jake Beaune, of course, two of Livonia's finest players, kindly joining us here tonight. As again, we're talking about the proven path, talking some Michigan high school hockey. Many, many thanks to the Hockey Coaches Association. Jake, it's funny. I think in the last 10 years, we talked so much about how the game has gone like this, but the S word is a big part of that. Scouts. And before, they would just show up maybe at the showcase, or you'd see him at a game against an MIHL opponent. I think one of the things that maybe young players don't realize is that what you spoke of. These scouts are everywhere. These guys are watching when you don't think they're watching. I had a former OHL general manager tell me, if you can play, we'll find you. And I think a guy like you is a perfect example of that.
Oh, yeah. Like you said, you don't know who's watching. You don't know who's there. You just focus on your game at that time. So definitely for sure there's scouts watching every time, so you want to give it your best. But I never really let that get in my head. I always just focus on my own game, because when I think about things too much, that's when I make the mistakes. So I was always focused on my game. I didn't know they were up there, but in my head I knew people were always watching. So like I said, I just made sure to give it my all and stay focused in the now and not the then. So
it was great. Now we've talked a little Michigan high school hockey. Let's make that jump, that path that you guys took. Tyler, you jumped right to the NA. When you got there, whether it was your first camp, rookie camp, or whatever it was, what was the biggest difference that you noticed that you had to adjust to from the high school game to the junior game?
Yeah, it's cliche, but it's bigger, faster, stronger. I mean, all those guys are more mature. You're coming in right out of high school. There's some guys 3 years older than you, so they're more mature. They're stronger. But when the game increases a little bit, but as you get older too, your game's going to increase. If you train, you stick to your resume, you're going to, I mean, it wasn't that big of a jump. I'll tell you that. It's not that big. If you have the work ethic, you'll be just fine. I didn't notice anything too crazy. Maybe the defense. The one thing in every league that you go up, the defenseman's gap gets tighter and tighter, and you have less space with the puck, less time. That's the one thing that changes inch by inch going up the leagues.
Jake, conversely, what was it from your vantage point? You know, when you finally left Stevenson after your illustrious career, you took that next step. What was the first thing, the biggest adjustment for you and your game?
Honestly, I agree with Tyler. Like, it wasn't too much faster, but it is faster and more physical. So, just keeping the pace of play and keeping a good gap, because I know guys are faster when you get up to the junior level. So, for me, it was trying to get a good gap every day, keep my head up, make the smart, simple plays, and not trying to do too much. But yeah, I mean, it's not an easy game, so you have to give it your all. But I would say the adjustment process was pretty easy. I thought it was going to be a lot worse, but I thought that I adjusted well and earned a spot almost every night. But yeah, it was awesome though.
This is a good combo. You got a defenseman, you got a forward. Good combo.
Right, that's exactly it. Yeah.
So everyone that we've had on so far that has made the move to juniors and then on to the NCAA has talked about having to face adversity and being resilient in the time when things aren't going well. We've got guys such as yourselves that had just great high school careers. Then you jump into these major juniors and it starts off a little bit slow. Is there any advice that you have for those seniors that just graduated that are headed off to training camp come August?
Yeah, I'll go first here. Honestly, just follow your dreams. I know at one point in my hockey career, like Mitchell could attest to this, but like I was on the verge of quitting hockey. I just don't know where my head wasn't in the right place. Like I was homesick, missed all my friends, family, because I was out in like Aberdeen, which is 14 hours away. So it's tough being that far, but stick to what you want in life and never give up, and you're gonna end up achieving your dream at one point. And I'm really glad I didn't end up quitting because I ended up getting a scholarship right after. So I stuck with it and good things came. So just in the end, stick with it and good things will come. So
Tyler?
Yeah, same thing. When I was in Topeka, so right after senior year, you're, living in a farmland, but you're with all your best friends. It's great. But, you look on Snapchat, all your buddies are freshmen in colleges at this time. So I'm like, man, it looks like they're having so much fun, but stuck with it, kept playing in Topeka, and I trust me, college hockey is definitely worth it. So just putting your time playing juniors, it's definitely worth it playing college hockey. Secondly, I was getting scratched the next year in Cedar Rapids, and I called Mitchell as well. I was like, Mitchell, I don't know what to do. Like, can I just come home, this and that? And we were trying to work out a trade. I did get traded, but I stuck with it. I kept showing that coach I want to work. He traded me Muskegon. Things worked out. So whenever there's adversity, fight through it. It's all going to work out.
Two guys that were able to move on to the NC2A, and I've had many conversations with the guys from College Hockey Inc. Their names certainly displayed prominently, as well they should be, because that's part of the reason why we're doing this and calling it the proven path for all the young players out there. There is a path there. Here are two guys that can attest to that. Tyler, tell us about when it came time to continue your career and how you made your decision to go become a college hockey player.
Yeah, so I was playing in Muskegon with the Lumberjacks in the USHL. And first year I played Topeka, second year Cedar Rapids, halfway through trade in Muskegon. And when I was playing there, I was getting opportunity, I was playing well, and teams started to notice that. And once, I swear to God, once one team notices, the other one's like, wait a second, who's that guy? Then they start to notice. Then they have you out on a visit. Then they're like, wait, that school offered so much. Wait, we're going to offer this much. So everything just, it takes a while to get the process going, but it's like a snowball effect. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Before you know it, you have one team, you have another team, one in Hockey East, one in NCHC, and you get to kind of choose. You're like, well, I like that smaller school. I like that division. And that's when I was like, wow, Merrimack's out in Hockey East. I'm going to take a chance. I think I could play. That's a big conference. I could play on this team. Hopefully, get a lot of ice time and try to play on after that. Actually, I wasn't even thinking about playing on. I was like, they're going to, help me pay for my schooling. And I'll get my corporate finance degree and we'll go from there. We'll see what happens. That's where I was at.
Love to hear that. Jake, same question. It's I think everybody watched you grow and watched you become a special player. How did that process go for you to finally make the decision that you made?
Oh, it was great. My last year of juniors, I was out in Lincoln, Nebraska, and in the USHL, it's crazy. I swear everyone's committed. So I was one of the only ones not committed on the team at the time. So it just pushed me even harder to get that scholarship. And in the end, it ended up coming. I got an offer from Robert Morris, and it was late in the year, so I took it. But we all know what happened to that. They ended up discontinuing their program. But after that, I'm lucky to get a call from Mercier's and ended up getting a better scholarship out of it. So in the end, it was brighter on the other side, and it worked out for me. So couldn't be more thankful for everything that has happened. So it's been great.
The one thing we like to ask these guys to do while we have them, Sean, is we like to have them kind of sell high school hockey to those kids that are out there, that AA kid, that AAA kid that's sitting there saying, should I go back and play for the Livonia Knights or should I be going to Stevenson? Jake, what's your best sales pitch to that kid to why he should be playing high school hockey?
I think you should make the jump right away. Like I said, I was at the AAA level and I switched to high school and I made it to the same spot I want to be now. So just follow what you want to do. I know everyone wants to play high school hockey. It's literally, I don't understand why you don't. You see the atmosphere every single game playing in front of your friends. So it's great. If you want to have fun, high school hockey brought the fun into it for me. So if you want to go out and try it, please do. It's the best decision of my life, like I said. So.
All right, Tyler, you're up. What's your sales pitch to these guys?
The thing, I mean, I was in their shoes playing AA hockey my whole life. I tried out for the high school team. I got cut. So if I had the choice, I would have went in a heartbeat. I tried. But another thing too is with Coach Mitchell. I mean, I'm sure any high school coach, they're helping you write letters to college teams, junior team. I mean, the stuff that they do behind the scenes compared to, let's say, a AAA coach. You play there, a AAA coach is like, all right, yep, practice, go through these circles. But these coaches are taking time out of their day to help you write letters to colleges, to have an Excel sheet of different colleges and just the things that they did behind the scenes. I know me and Jake both wouldn't be where we're at right now. So.
Isn't that awesome? Well, love hearing it. Fellas, not just the Livonia guys rooting for you. You know, we always got your back, we Livonia guys, but I think everybody is. It's great to see guys move on. These are two guys that have moved on that proven path. Continued success to both of you. I think I speak for everybody when I say we're darn proud of what you guys have done so far, and I know there's more to come. Tyler Irvine and Jake Beaune, thank you so much for your time and for joining us tonight, fellas.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thanks, boys.
All right, we're going to catch up with their coach in just a second. And another guy that was on the bench with Coach Mitchell and now running the Saline program. But boy, it makes me feel old. I saw Ben Zalegi jumps in and said, Jake has a beard now? My gosh, I'm old. It's good to see you, Beaune. And that's the way that I feel. It's like I said, how's it been 10 years, Tyler Irvine? My goodness gracious, but couldn't be happier for those guys.
Yeah, you sent me over the notes and I started on the hockey database and I'm like, no way.
I know.
There's no way. But how about the reoccurring theme that started last week with Chad Clemens at Trenton talking about high school coaches and what they do behind the scenes, not only for their guys, for other guys. And we're going to have Dave Mitchell on here, but they were talking about Dave Mitchell, and Tyler couldn't have mentioned Dave more about what he did and helped him on his process. This is one of the more exciting interviews I think we've had on here, is when we're going to have our good friend Dave Mitchell.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Why don't we bring both of our friends in? Of course, the head coach at Livonia Stevenson. Here we're talking about these guys that have been gone for, so many years. Dave looks the same as he did 20 years ago. Good Living will do that for you. Coach Mitchell kindly joining us, and his longtime assistant now doing a darn good job out in Saline as well. Kyle Zagata kindly joining us. Fellas, first of all, really appreciate you taking the time. Look, it's always hockey season. All us guys, it's always hockey season, but appreciate you guys talking some high school hockey here in the month of June.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us. I think we're both at rinks right now, so I can tell you it's hockey season. We're both upstairs at different rinks, and we both have guys on the ice and taking care of our teams. So we're thrilled to be here. Thanks for having us. Appreciate what you guys do. And before you jump to Kyle, like that was tough. That was a tough listen. That was very emotional. Like we don't get to hear that side as coaches, like what we do for kids. So thank you so much, and I hope the other coaches realize how much they do for their players. But that was, when I say tough, it was emotional. It was unbelievable to hear those guys speak of high school hockey and the program that they went through and what they did for us as well. So thank you.
All right, guys, we have coaches on, we have players on, and we're always talking about that pathway for the players. And sometimes we skip over the pathway to the coaches.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start with Kyle. Kyle, what was your pathway? What led you to high school hockey? We know where you've been from Stevenson, Saline, all these things, but why did you choose high school hockey to do your coaching?
I'm a lifer here. I showed up one day after I graduated with Mitch at Stevenson, and I don't want to say I really didn't have any other options, but I don't think I had any other options at that
Come
point.
on, man.
No, honestly, it was something that just sort of grew, and that's one thing. Like, if you want to learn or become a better coach, like I'll say, talk to Mitch. He's got he'll talk for you hours and hours and hours. And one of the cool things that we kind of tackled that he, sort of tasked me with when, guys like Tyler and Dom Lutz were getting to be that age of needing to, get that junior exposure and things like that, knowing that was their goal was, he didn't, wasn't a micromanager, wasn't, just constantly looking over my shoulder. He just said, hey, this is what we need to do for these guys. And we sat down and we game planned. And then, we went into attack mode, and we, tried to find different scouts and different opportunities and different, different avenues for these kids. And we learned, we learned a ton about, pathways for high school hockey players to the next level. And we learned and we soaked in and we built relationships. Right. And we were fortunate enough to build a lot of relationships with guys at, every level of junior hockey, because, not every kid's going to have the same path. As you saw, each of those kids were similar, but different. And as coaches, we are, that advocate for these kids, right? We are the guys that, they're going to fall back to when they need help and advice. And, so he kind of tasked me with that back in that, 2012-13 time. And, we really jumped in it full go. And, we learned a ton.
Dave, I'm going to follow up with you, and I don't think I've ever heard this answer. I mean, here I've known you forever, and people out there, of course, your late father Adam was a legend. Hell, I used to love going over to the house and watching hockey games with him and talk the game with him. But Dave, how did you get into this? Hockey, for people that don't know, it was always part of Dave's life. He ended up going to Western Michigan and playing at Western Michigan. But how did you even jump into coaching, Mitch?
Well, right after Western, it was actually at Western my last year up there. I was finishing my degree, and I got word that the Squirt AA team of the Kalamazoo Optimist Minor Hockey Association needed a goalie coach, and it was a name that you may recognize, Jim Murray.
Mm-hmm.
Who was the longtime Portage Central coach and then athletic director. Jim Murray was the coach of that team, and pulled me in. And I just started working with goaltenders there. And then I came home and grew up playing for Little Caesars and wanted to get right back into it, and spent a year with the Little Caesars 1986 team, which was coached by Sergei Fedorov's father, Victor. And guys like Kevin Porter were on that team. And we had a really good, strong group. And then wanted to get a little more. And CompuWare is near my house. And Neil Carnes reached out. And Neil Carnes reached out, said, if you come here for a year, you can get your own team. I went there. I was at CompuWare about 9 years. And then kind of like all the stories here, it was the AAA world and having to re-recruit my guys and do all that stuff and try to do it the right way. It was ready to be done. And then got a call from Pete Mazzoni. And Pete Mazzoni and the Livonia Churchill team in 06-07, and spent a year with Pete Mazzoni. And then the Livonia Stevenson job opened up in 2007. and I waited to the last day to put my stuff in, and I put my stuff in. I remember, and I remember I went and prayed on it a little bit and thought, what do I do? What do I do? And I put my stuff in 2007, and Lori Hyman was kind enough to hire me back in 2007, and man,
All right, we lost the sound for just a second there with Dave. Is that on Dave's end? Is that on our end, Blake? We'll see what that is. We'll check that. Yeah, we lost the sound just for a second. Kyle, can you say something?
Okay, all right, we got
we
Kyle.
just wanted to make
We got
sure
Kyle.
we got Kyle.
Is
So
Dave back?
Yeah, I'm here.
He's not back.
Dave's not
So-
back.
So until we get Dave back,
Okay.
we'll move on with Kyle. Kyle, I've seen you a lot, be it at MDHL or Team Michigan, these things that I believe are very important for the growth of high school hockey. Can you tell us a little bit, for those out there that don't know much about it, about the MDHL and about Team Michigan and how important you think it is into growing this game?
Anytime I talk with the family, they're always blown away when I say the advantages of high school hockey over AAA hockey, right? I think it's a total lifestyle change, right? I think even, some these high-end AA teams that, that have these kids, trying to convince them that that's the spot to be. But really, when you look at it, the high school schedule, I tell them, hey, we can get them a study hall, a workout, a practice, a session in, film, and they'll be home for dinner by 6 o'clock. Who wouldn't want to take that? But then when you look at the other opportunities that are added in there with, the fall opportunities like the MDHL, where they could play with their high school team all week and work and train and work out, and then go play against elite competition on the weekends, where they are going to get scouted, where they are going to have, different eyes on the benches with them. It's one thing when you go in that league and you have these coaches that are connected with different programs and connected with different teams, and then in the springtime, we're trying to expand it, but to look at a program like Team Michigan that does such a good job of putting kids out, not just in North American leagues, but, putting them in front of a tournament that has eyes on them from all over North America. It's such unique opportunities when you talk to, if you get the opportunity to talk to scouts and coaches at next levels. If you ask them, hey, what events should we be at to see our kids? They'll say, they're going to mention the NIT. They're going to mention things like the Trenton Showcase, and they're going to mention, events like the MDHL. They're all there. They're all watching. It's how you perform when you get there.
Once again, Kyle Zagata, the head coach of Saline, and David Mitchell, the head coach at Livonia Stevenson, kindly joining us. I know this from being friends with you guys. I mean, the one thing that people don't understand is, a lot of times they think a high school coach, Mike, is all right. Well, he gets a little busy around October, and then he's done. When the season ends, February or whatever. Guys like these two are going, whether it be Team Michigan, whether it be MDHL, whether it be fall. This is legitimately, Dave, turned into what, about 11 and a half months, as I'm sure your wife can attest to, but this really turned into like an all-year thing.
It's 51 weeks. It's 51 weeks, and our big vacation is next week because it's the dead week. Because that's a time where we cannot have contact with our players.
Let's go to Bigby.
That's only because they closed Caribou. You guys know that.
I know that.
Tim Hortons instead. Coffee's a little better.
So yeah, it's turned into that. I mean, high school coaches are continuously, and look, and it's not crying. It's not, but it's a tough gig because we are still the only high school sport that really has to recruit within itself. And we have to prove to our players. And that's why what you guys are doing in the proven path stuff and what Asemacher's doing, the coach association, and these players coming back and these coaches talking about it is so important, because, it's not football, baseball, or something else where they know they're going to play for the high school team. Our players have options. They have options, and we have to continuously show that it is. And Kyle mentioned it earlier. And I think the one thing people fail to like we took that on as pressure when you have a Lutzen and Irvine, or it really started back with Mike Moran back in 2007, who ended up at Notre Dame. When you have players like this, you better show up as a coach. You better put on a good presentation. You better have good lessons, good practices, good approaches to games, good reviews, video sessions and stuff like that. Otherwise, those players will go elsewhere. And so it forced us in a good way to grow as teachers, as learners, and as coaches. So there is no time off in this. It's 51 weeks. It's year round.
And no time off gets into my next question again for both of you. I'll start with Kyle. I have learned over the last couple of years, seeing you at like NA camps and around these teams, that I know both you guys have had connections at times with junior teams. How important is it that possibly we get more guys, more connected guys in the high school game to get our names out there, to get our kids out there, to get eyes on our kids, such as you two?
I think it's important. It's important, and not only just to be connected and affiliated with the team, but to spend.
Now we lost him.
Now he froze.
That's good. Now I'm not the only one.
Hockey rink.
This is the problem. We're at hockey rinks, right? Like,
that's exactly it, right?
We're on.
Yeah, there's
Am I here?
Yeah,
you're here.
You got me?
Look, Kyle, and I even want Kyle's dead on, but I think Kyle and I just talked about it. You guys mentioned how important is it to get us involved. That, like, there's probably more scouts out there that than you know, right? Like, I mean, I just got a call. Joe Ford at Cap Center. His assistant Travis is a scout in the NCDC now. There's more than we know, but now the key absolutely is going to be that we do more with what we have. We have to start doing more, and we have to start getting these high school guys, because Tyler mentioned it. It went on earlier. It's the difference between AAA, and it's no disrespect to any guys out there, but when I was at CompuWare, I couldn't help a Honey Baked kid. Zagata and I are working together on players all the time, whether they're Stevenson, Saline, St. Mary's, Catholic Central, like whatever it is. If we can help a high school guy move on, we do. Not even the current ones. I mean, we have reached out to guys that are playing in Canada, guys that are playing elsewhere that want to get to the NA, that want to get somewhere, and how can we help them? And they've reached out to us. And so not only is it important for us to keep putting guys in places, but it's really important for the guys that are there to get even more involved. And I hate using the word yield, but we got to start yielding and saying, all right, if each one of us get a couple guys each year, imagine what that would do. That would really, really, really help us.
I want to follow up on that in a second, but we have an emergency alert that just came up. Livonia Stevenson Hockey said to us, boys, we need Mitch downstairs for the skate. So, Dave, you're going to have to take off again. The boys come first. That's the way that goes.
Yeah.
Hey, all jokes aside, though, and you guys, I've been fortunate to work in the OHL. I was fortunate to, work for the Whalers and work for the NTDP. And I got to meet so many of these guys, whether they be OHL scouts, whether they be USHL scouts, NA scouts. It is amazing to me. Even 10 years ago, you might see one here or there. But I'm not joking when I say this, and both of you can certainly attest to this. What it was then and what it is now are two different numbers. The word is out, and guys are at, like we were talking to the boys about, guys are at games when you don't even expect them to be at games. It doesn't matter what rink, it doesn't matter what night. Guys are coming and watching this product in a night in, night out basis.
Not only that, and but I really want to point out, too many of these players step on the ice and say, where is everybody? Where is everybody? And they may not see them. I cannot tell you, and I learned this year for sure, how important it is for our guys to play well every shift, because they're watching in Northern Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Instat and the film that they use now is amazing. There are guys in Western leagues in Northern Canada down to Southwest, New Mexico, that they will log on with Live Barn, with Instat, with the Prospect Exchange. There are so many things that now these scouts and these coaches are using, these colleges are using, that our high school players are now getting on and getting exposure on, that it's not so much like, are the scouts here? Like, I was shocked. Like, I mean, they are dissecting every shift. So our kids are being watched. I cannot stress that enough. No matter where they're playing this year, if they put up some good numbers, if they create a buzz around them with their play and their work ethic and their program, they will be seen like on film more than they ever imagined possible.
All right, guys, this is a question I've asked every coach that we've had on here. I'll start with Kyle. Hopefully we don't lose you again here. Is the game has come a far way as we've been talking. We've got eyes on it, but everyone's kind of had that one little hope of something more high school hockey could do. We've heard from maybe some more games, maybe changing the format of the final, something to make it a little bit more attractable to get kids in here. Is there anything in particular that you would wish for if you had one wish for high school hockey, Kyle?
I do think there could be some tweaks made in the off season, just to get everybody pulling in the same direction. I think one thing that, I'll say it, Mitch is one of my best friends in the world, but 99% of the time that we talk, it's, as our wives will tell you, because they hear us on the phone all day, is talking about hockey. Like, I think there's, the one area that we really can take advantage of is the group setting and everybody pulling to help out. Right. Even right now we're, me and Mitch have been going back and forth about a player of his who, I was able to get him into a camp, a high level team camp that, is really some good things are coming out of it and some good traction is coming out of it for him. Right. And more coaches being willing and able to work together and reach out and say, hey, I've got this player, I understand you have got a connection there. Is there anything we can do for him? Right. Or I've got this connection here. Do you have any players that I could get into this camp? Right. Like the more that coaches work together and talk about the stuff in the open, right. And not just, coded language and what's best for me, but out in the open and making it so these kids can really thrive. And it's not just what I can do, but hey, here's this little group of coaches that I work with. Here's what we can do. Right. And here's why high school hockey is better. And here's why, it's not just going to be, hey, show up at the rink, for a Honey Baked versus CompuWare game on a Tuesday night and we'll see what happens. But hey, these are, the teams that we're playing against and these are the coaches that we're going to work with. And these are the guys that are working out, for you and having that dedicated plan for your future, because, I can guarantee it's not always happening on the other side of having that one-on-one dedicated sit down of, hey, this is what your path needs to look like. And these are where we're going to put you. But here we have that opportunity. It's not just me, it's me and this group of coaches, or it's Mitch and this group of coaches, because when you work together, a lot of good things come from it. And that's the big advantage that we have.
All right, Coach Mitchell, your turn.
Oh, that's a question. You guys know I could go on and on about that, right? And I'll try to.
Mitch, I'll be right back.
Yeah, like I'll try, because I'm just, so many things are going through my mind as hearing Kyle talk. Like everybody, mentions the Minnesota model. Everybody says with Minnesota. I'm telling you, I played all those years of AAA, coach all those years of AAA. I didn't go to Minnesota once. Okay, now that I've been in the high school world, I've been out 10, 12, 15 times. And it's no disrespect to anybody in Michigan, but if you look at the numbers of what Minnesota's producing compared to what we are, it's astounding. They are really doing a good job. We have it in high school hockey. We have the model of the fall, the winter, the practice to game ratio, the community base, growing up within your city, within your program. Like, we have that. And look, do I want to play more games? Of course. But is 2 games going to make a difference to some kid to say, like, probably not? Could our tournament be better? Sure. But it's phenomenal. Like, if you go down to that Final Four weekend and you're like, that's what got me in. I have no problem telling you. I went and watched my former players at Dearborn Unified back in 2005 get to the Final Four. And they were my CompuWare kids. And I went and watched them. Like, this is really cool. Yeah. And when Zoni called me, it was a no-brainer. Like, I guess the unpopular answer, but I think we just have to do a better job collectively and individually first. And then if we do better job as individuals, collectively, we will be even better. And I think that is into the development of our players. The reason that, we're both at rinks tonight is where because we really value the development of our kids, and we put together a year-long program, which includes off days, which includes multiple sports. If people think that we do this all year, we don't, with our kids. We have golfers, we have baseball players, we have football players, we have all different sports that play, but we are close. We just have to stop. Like, I don't want to say stop shooting ourselves in the foot, but we have to collectively say, what can I do with my team to make my team better? And if my team is better, how can I make other teams better around me? And how can we collectively make this a great product? When we talk to kids, they say like I had a kid literally say, well, Stevenson doesn't get the players it used to, the Beaunes, well, you just heard it. Beaune was a kid that was on a different path until he came to high school hockey. If some of these kids would come in to high school hockey, I think they would be blown away if they took a chance and they were strong. And it's, again, I hate to say no disrespect, but it is tough for a kid and parent to leave that world, because the things that are said to them, the things that are said about high school hockey that are not true. You cannot compare high school hockey to AAA. You have to compare it program to program, and place you're in and what that program will do for, development wise. And man, it's just, if they would trust the process a little bit more. And I say to those kids, well, you should, we've had kids that should have been the next Jake Beaune and would have been the next Jake Beaune, but they decided not to take that road. And if they would have taken that road, it comes down to trust. It comes down to belief. It comes down to really not buying into what everybody else is saying. The fear of missing out is real, and they think they're going to miss something until they get here. If we can get more guys like yourself, more coaches, more players, and especially if I could talk to one group, if one group's listening, it's the parents that are out there that notice the change in their kids when their kids come from AAA to high school. Zagata knows this. You guys have heard this over and over again. I wish my kid would have did it earlier. I wish my kid would have came earlier. Oh my gosh, my kid he enjoyed hockey again. He did this, he did that, it over and over again. And if we can start getting those stories more out there, which they are there, because you guys know the negative stories travel like that. These good stories, it takes a while, but the word's starting to get out thanks to you guys and what you're doing, and thanks to the Coaches Association. We're just going to keep, I think, doing what we're doing. We just have to continue to be passionate, continue to be enthusiastic about what we're doing, and I think we'll get there.
And this is such a good conversation that I know we'll continue at another time, but because I know both me and Sean would love to know anything that we could do to get those words out there, because I can't tell you how many times I've heard my kid's not coming to high school hockey because they're going up here. This is the junior league they're going to go in. And if they come to high school, it's going to knock down. That's just not the truth, because there's kids that are currently in high school hockey that are coming out at that same level and higher than that kid at that level.
It's miseducation, right? It's a lack of education. And unfortunately now, not to cut, even miseducation. We have to do a better job. You say, what can we do? And we continually have to do a better job of educating I hate to say clients, but educating our parents and our players of what this is truly about. And I know some teams are now taking a grassroots effort and going back to their community and going back. So what could you guys do? You guys are doing everything that and more. Mike, you have a unique position too with being the parent of a kid that is and I know you don't like talking about it, but a kid came to high school, had an unbelievable career at CC. He's going to go to the OJ now, which is a league that Kyle and I have been saying for years. Every kid thinks it's the NA or bust or the USHL or bust. That is such a high-level, respectable league that our players, families, and coaches don't know enough about. And so if we can keep getting the Seb Ivasiles, Michael Schemmerhorn that just went there, and he went to New Mexico, and now he's going to Notre Dame, yeah, I get it. It wasn't the USHL at 16, but he's going to Notre Dame.
Right.
He's still getting there. And these stories are unbelievable. And the more and more we can have.
I think Seb's a perfect, and I'm going to jump on that too, because I think Seb's a perfect. Well, you laugh a little bit here, Mike, but I think he's the perfect kid, because correct me if I'm wrong, he was playing KV AA hockey before he made the jump to high school, correct?
Yep.
And, and everybody who thinks, oh, I'm just playing AA or hey, I got to stay at this AA team, or I got to stay at this AAA, or I got to get to trips or this. He came in, he played high school hockey. He did everything. He followed his coaches, his offseason. He he just kind of trusted the process.
Didn't make Team Michigan as a junior, made it as a senior, won a bunch of state titles. Like seriously, those are the stories, though.
Yeah.
Right?
You know,
You're laughing because these
right,
guys, like it was Zagata's guy. Zagata cut him, by the way. It wasn't me.
No way.
Right?
No way. But he,
me.
you know, he pushed through that adversity, and I mean, he's better on it, you know, and he's going to have an opportunity now to go chase his college dreams, whether it's NCAA D3 and D1, whatever it might be. It's such a good story. Those are the stories that we need out there more, because it's not just, I have to play AAA hockey to get there, or I have to do this to get there, because that's kind of how they're made to feel over, you know, in that world that they are. And Mitch said it, like, it's sort of taboo to talk, well, I might go high school. That's a perfect example, because I think he would have done it wherever he was playing.
And I hate saying real quick, I hate saying he did utilize an advisor, which helps him out, and which we were, you know, always, advisors this, advisors that, but there are advisors out there that really will promote the high school player, will put them in good spots. Just talk to your coaches, talk to parents that have utilized one, such as Mike Iavasile. I'm sure your email's out there somewhere on this show. They can contact you, you know. So
and I can't thank you guys enough for the words you just said and everything. I'm honestly what you guys did over the last 3 years, and Dave hooking me up with Zach and all those kinds of things. But you are 100% correct. There are these kinds of stories all over high school hockey, and these parents need to hear them so their kids can have this experience that the Tylers and the Jakes, they talk about. Like, I'm so glad I went, and actually I wish I went earlier. You know, some of them even say. So thank you guys and everything you do for high school hockey.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Hey, by the way, I want to get back to the state tournament. We had Doug Garrow on a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about the idea of maybe having 2 weekends at USA Hockey Arena. And I'm like, yeah. I mean, accentuate the positive. And I'm like you guys, I'm not going to take a shot at any other product. But you know what? I have no problem talking about what this level does right. And what this level does right is that packed barn, and the excitement in that building is unbelievable that weekend. And I think to have 2 weekends of that would be
Sean,
unbelievable.
I listened to Doug, and I read he sent the proposal out to the board and the regional reps. I will tell you that in working on this in the past, we have now, the one thing that MHSA always said is they couldn't do it because they were in different locations, the quarterfinals, right? But guess what? We put all the quarterfinals are on a Saturday now. There were different dates, and they're all on that quarterfinal Saturday. Minimally, I think you could put them, you know, D1 down in the Detroit area, D2 out west, D3 in Gaylord, something like that. And you could at least regionalize it and have an unbelievable quarterfinal Saturday to where you could pack some barns around the state. That would be a start. And then, of course, if you could go to what Minnesota does and do 3 days and do court and get to state, I mean, it is something that is really special out there. And I think we need to, you know, learn from it. I think we're trying to. So, yes, absolutely. Coach Garrow obviously does an unbelievable job up there. So that was really well thought out by him.
Well, isn't it amazing? You know, one of the arguments we always heard, Dave, was, well, it's not fair to those teams like up in the UP. Mm-hmm. Here you have Coach Garrow up in Marquette. One of the most outspoken guys was the head coach of the 2016 Division III champions at Hancock, who flat out said in the middle of his press conference, "Where do you want me to go?
100%.
I'll go wherever you want me to go. Away in our community, where do you want me to go?" So I think sometimes it's interesting who is talking about where they need to go, and that needs to be pointed out. Here's two guys, and it's okay with them. Kyle, I want to talk to you because for many years you were Dave's assistant, and I'm not joking when I say this. I'm not sure anybody was happier. Well, maybe you, but I'm not sure anybody was happier for you than Coach Mitchell when you decided to take over in Saline. It was time to move on. Obviously, you helped Dave in a myriad of ways, but talk about what you're doing out in Saline. You know, I've had a chance to see you guys, obviously, at the Cube a few times, you know, here and there during different tournaments, but it's a unique process, and there are some players out that way as well.
There are. We have some hockey players, and it was much different. I definitely had some, you know, going from a program at Stevenson to a program at Saline. There was some changes that I had to kind of get over myself. And, and adjust the way I do things. You know, one of the things I mentioned earlier is still utilizing guys like him, but other coaches that, you know, that I've known throughout my however many years in high school hockey. You know, it's a phenomenal school. I'm fortunate enough to work in the building. You know, the education that kids get there is top notch, you know, to be able to couple that with, I think, you know, trying to push a competitive hockey program and trying to develop kids and, you know, having to work in different ways to develop kids and players and, you know, work a little bit smarter. And, you know, we've got a ton of support though out, you know, it's a fine athletics community. We have a great athletic director. You know, we've got some young coaches who are eager to work with a lot of different kids and a lot of different athletes in the building. And, you know, I think anybody that comes through it spends 10 minutes in the school is like, wow, this is a special place. And it is. So, you know, we're fortunate to have, you know, have those athletes. I'm just constantly every day trying to, you know, I've heard Don Wright say in the past, build a better mousetrap, right? I'm just trying to build a program that, you know, that kids want to be a part of and then show off that program to those kids. So, you know, it's different. Every program has different struggles. Every program faces a little bit of different adversity. It's all relative at the end of the day. I think, you know, the struggles that I go to are similar to the struggles that Mitch goes through, are similar to the struggles that, you know, Brandon Kalanicky at CC goes through, right? We all have issues that are all relative. So that's where it's just having a sounding board of a little, you know, coaches group and people that you talk to that know what you're going through to reach out to them and rely on, just like Tyler and Jake said, right? You have to have people that you call and reach out to because of, you know, you're going to face adversity. So, but yeah, I can't say enough good things about the Saline athletics program, the Saline High School. It's a phenomenal atmosphere for athletes.
All right. Sticking with your guys' individual programs, Kyle, you've been talking about it a little bit here. Who's the player we don't know about on your team that's going to stand out? You expect to stand out this year that we're going to notice?
You know, we've got a handful of good kids. I've got a couple that I'll mention. On defense, I've got a kid, Wyatt Church, who just, you know, came up playing Kensington Valley AA hockey. You know, he's a kid he's the type of kid that, you know, pushes me. Hey, coach, what can we do this week? Can we do this? Coach, can we do this? Coach, can we do this? He just oozes hockey. He's got a great family. You know, the other one is Antonio Giacalone, who he was a kid who had that AAA path that came to me as a freshman, had, you know, a couple good freshman sophomore years. Now he's going to be looked at as a leader. I'm excited to see how he steps into that role. You know, but those are the two kids that I'm excited for. I just try and put them in, you know, as many different spots as I can, right? I'm trying to put them in as many different positions as I can to help them develop and help them, because they have those goals that Tyler and Jake have, right? You know, and I'm just trying to help them find that opportunity and be ready for that opportunity too.
Coach Mitchell, who should we be looking for this year? Someone, maybe a name we don't know, not the Owen Halls, who we know we're expecting big things out of next year. Who's that player that's going to sneak up on us?
You know me. We're just gonna hope to compete.
There we go. Little holes, ladies and gentlemen. Got like 20, yes.
You know, I look. I appreciate the question, of course, but I think, and I just want to expound on what Kyle said though, and about, like, right now, high school hockey, I think our top's doing really well. I think the mid majors and the teams like Kyle's, I think, are the ones that I don't want to say we have to focus on, but like really keep pushing and promoting. You know, we'll see with us, right? We have our top guys, and then we had 14 sophomores, you know, last year. So those kids are all going to be juniors. So I think it's too early on to mention, you know, a couple of those guys may be. I think, you know, time will tell. But I do want to get back to what's going on here, and if we can help these guys and the guys that just mentioned and that he mentioned out there. There are so many players listening to this that might be at a different school or a smaller school that could make a difference. I think there's a lot to the big fish in a little pond theory. And you guys are asking about players right now. I think we need more of those players at some of these smaller schools to come out and make a difference.
Yeah.
As well as, you know, of course, the bigger schools. But I think the more we can do that, the better. With us, with what players they may be. I mean, you know the guys you mentioned, you mentioned the one, but we'll see. We'll see how those things transpire.
Dave, I love to hear that, because one of the terms that I've used for the past 12 years is the usual suspects. And you know what the coolest thing about the usual suspects is it wasn't that long ago, little Heartland was knocking on the door. And all of a sudden, look what Ricky Gadwin Heartland became. Byron Center, Clarkston, a place like Saline.
Yeah.
You know what? You keep doing it. You do it once, people will look. You do it the next year, and everybody's going to go, what is Coach Zagata or Coach Breyer or whoever got going on? And to me, that's been one of the funnest parts, because everybody, Brother Rice is always going to have a wagon. CC's always going to have a wagon. Trenton, Livonia Stevenson. Watching these programs come up, honest to goodness, it's probably my favorite joy of doing this for the past dozen years, is watching these programs come up and start knocking off some of the big boys.
And look, I'll be that guy then, and my players, but like a program to watch out, like Traverse City West up in Traverse City. Jason Fernsler takes over, a guy that played, is junior hockey, for Scott Langer, who's had a number of Michigan high school kids. He went to Ferris, takes over that program. And there's a guy in his blue line named Callan Ray, who I'm sure you've heard of now. And is somebody that's going to stay in high school hockey, going to continue his path here. And then, moving forward, he's going to do wonders with that team and that program. And that's the type of kids that we need to continually develop. The program that we need to develop. You look at, obviously, the usual suspects, but what a job the guy up at Hancock has done, with that up there, or Sault Ste. Marie, the job they're doing, and so that is my answer. The more programs we can develop, and turn them into those that are knocking at the door. And look, it may not be every single year, because consistency is the hardest thing to master. But man, if they get a few good years under their belt, or 1 or 2 good years, then you guys know it snowballs, and then people start saying, "Oh my gosh, I want to be the next one. I want to be the next one." Or, our longtime buddy Dennis Gagnon at South Lyon, I think, is going to do some really good things with that program. So those are the programs that I think that I'm really looking forward to doing what we can to help them out and promote those guys.
We're always busy retweeting things. The minors are putting out things. Their social media.
Nagani, you're darn right. Nagani, absolutely.
Well, I know Blitzko. What do you know? Marysville, doesn't matter. When I see something, and Mike, I know you're the same way. It's like, yes, this is a good product. This is telling not only the rest of it, but most importantly, the community, we got something good going on with kids from our community, and we want more to come. And I think that's what it's all about. I couldn't agree with you guys anymore. Is if everybody rows in the same direction, man, this is a fantastic product. Who knows where we can take it?
Yep. And so, guys, Dave, you wouldn't answer the question. You did a very good job stepping around it. That's what I expected. But I've got one more. I don't know where your guys' schedules are at, but me and Sean, our schedules are filling up. Is there a game on your calendar that you guys have scheduled, Kyle or Dave, that is going to be must-see that me and Sean have to get to? Start with Dave.
Start with Kyle.
Stevenson Saline on the schedule.
They dropped us.
Yeah.
They took us to Simon Mitchell, right?
They took us to overtime last year, and they dropped us.
Yeah.
True story. That truly happened. So,
that was a fun game.
Look,
Kyle, who is there one that, hey, come out to the Cube, wherever the case may be, that you really want people to come out to?
We've got the natural rivalry with Ann Arbor Pioneer. We play them every Thanksgiving Eve. That's all, that's such a busy night. But the other one that we're trying to, we have a big rivalry, us and Chelsea, right? We're 2 teams out in this Washtenaw County area. And we're trying to play that last kind of Friday or Saturday before Christmas break every year. So, that's becoming a natural rivalry, but a lot of emotions in that game. It's always a real fun one. The kids grow up playing with each other, whether it's in Ann Arbor or Chelsea. So there's always a lot of heart in that game. It's just a fun environment too. So that's kind of the one that we, everyone's important, obviously, but that's sort of the one I think everybody's got circled, right?
Okay.
All right, Mitch.
I guess, I think we're going to open this year. We don't know if it's a Wednesday or Thursday and I don't think many people know we're probably going to open against CC. But the next game 2 is a Saturday night. And I have to mention this one. It will be Keith Robertson's first game as a Howell Highlander head coach.
Boy.
Congrats to my longtime assistant, Keith Robertson. And so they're hosting us in November. I want to say maybe the first weekend of the season. And that is going to be his opening night. And you know what? We'll have a lot of fun with that. I'm thrilled for him, as I was with Kyle and so many others that have been on our staff that have moved on. Keith Robertson got the job in Howell, and so excited for him, so deserving. And again, just another guy that we're bringing into high school hockey. So that would be a game. And then the other one I have to mention, we are going to Houghton Hancock this year to play in their little GLI style at Christmas with awesome. Hancock, Calumet, and Houghton. So we're going to head up there as well. Of course, if you guys want to come up, you're always welcome on the bus. Okay. We know that. So between Christmas and New Year's. So
we all have a group chat going of all the coaches that have left Mitch. He's like the Nick Saban of high school. I think I came closest to beating him last year. We took him to overtime and had a few chances. I don't know. So I think Keith has the first chance next year to try and knock him off. We haven't been able to yet. So
your tender was awesome that day, Kyle. I remember that. Hey, listen, boys, I know your week off is coming up. I mean, your families don't see anyway, but we'd love to catch up, whether it be at Bigby or you're always welcome to a barbecue, but continued success to both of you. I'm not trying to make you blush. You've both done so much. Forget about for Livonia Stevenson or Saline, but for players out there. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart, as you could attest to, Mike, always doing something for somebody else. Mitch, honestly, a few of the Trenton kids last week were talking about how you helped them out on their path as well. And
we tell that story that Quinn Preston was our first draft. Zagata and I, we were in the room with Steve Jennings and Scott Langer, and pounding the table saying, take this. And it was because he was so good against us. Yeah. And we got him in the 7th round, and people were like, that's a steal. Like, yeah, it's a steal. They were like, are you sure? Yes, we're sure. Yeah. Yes, we're sure. So yes, the Trenton kids, whether it's Trenton or Stevenson or even our rivals, yep, that's what high school is all about.
Well, I'll let Ben Zalegi give us the final word. 2 of the best in the game, no doubt about it. Fellas, really appreciate it. Always a pleasure chat with both of you. Enjoy the 4th. Hopefully you get some time with your family, and hopefully we can all catch up soon. Continued success to both of you.
Thank you guys. Thanks for doing this. Appreciate the friendship.
No, appreciate you guys. That's going to do it for us tonight. Blake, thank you behind the scenes. Mike, as always, thank you. Most importantly, thank you for checking us out here. Oh, special shout out to the Coaches Association as well. Without them, we're not doing that. And without the players, none of us are doing anything. You're the most important part. And we'd love to see you here at this level and watch you take that proven path as well. For everybody, I'm Sean. See you.
What the Puck, featuring Sean Baligian. Produced by Todd Losey and Blake Matrazek. Executive produced by Sean Baligian and Todd Losey. Theme song and incidental music by Elliot Middleton. Engineering, mixing, and graphic design support provided by the Unsyndicated podcast team. Don't forget to like and subscribe to What the Puck on all your favorite channels. While you're there, be sure to rate and review the podcast. Got something to say to Sean? Call the Unsyndicated hotline at 248-237-3257.